Greetings, it's Tegan from the Haunting Podcast. If you're brave enough, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss a single spooky episode. And now, back to the spooky and ooky. Hello, and welcome back to the Haunting Podcast. I'm your host, Tegan.
And I'm Jordan.
And today we're talking about the Tower of London.
Ooh, one of my favorite places.
I know you really like the ghost stories that go along with the Tower of London.
A lot of shit went down in the Tower of London.
Yeah, that's what I was noticing. It was a
for a long time.
It was a prison. But that is what I was noticing. But we got to kick it off with the ghost of Anne Boleyn.
Ooh, Anne Boleyn. Henry VIII.
You already know all about her.
Oh, a little too much about the Tudors.
You could probably do this podcast on your own today.
Is that a suggestion?
All right, I'm going to let you take over from here. No, I'm going to read this one. Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII, is one of the most famous figures associated with the Tower of London, not only for her dramatic life and execution, but also for the haunting legacy that she's left behind. Executed on May 19th, 1536, after being convicted of adultery, treason, and incest, charges widely believed to be fabricated because men...
It probably was. I mean, he really wanted that divorce.
This was like...
I mean, you're not going to say, like, come on, Keg, let's have let's
get some couples therapy.
Yeah, let's have an investigation about this. Oh, I'm in the Tower of London now.
Anne's downfall marked the turning point in the Tudor history. Her restless spirit is said to haunt several locations in the tower, forever tied to the site of her tragic demise. Which, why are these places like this? Woman is a ghost. She is a powerful ghost at that, from everything that we know, and she just chooses to be there where she was executed.
It said she also haunts Hever Castle, which was the castle of her family.
Oh.
So apparently, that's her vacation house, I guess.
She just splits her time in ghostly form.
What else are you going to do, right?
I mean, the only reason I would stay haunted there is to bug Henry VIII. And then once he was gone, I'd be like, peace out.
You son of a bitch.
you asshole. Bitch. I mean, wouldn't you?
I would haunt his ancestors too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, are his ancestors
cursing the family?
The whole family. I don't think his ancestors are still in the castle, though, are they?
Well, his ancestors are considered widely wiped out. So, job well done, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she just scared them all to death. Generational curse, sickness. She did all that.
Girl power.
I feel like there's a lot more to the story that you really want to tell, but not in this podcast.
There is a lot I could say.
Anne Boleyn's rise to power was meteoric, captivating Henry VIII with her charm, wit, and intelligence. However, her failure to produce a male heir, coupled with her courtly intrigue and Henry's growing obsession with Jane Seymour, led to her arrest and eventual execution. Bitch.
Sad story. It's a sad story.
What an asshole move.
The problem is, Anne Boleyn's story is basically Henry cheated on his wife with her, so it's like, you really think he's not going to do it again?
See, I just don't know the history of Henry VIII too well.
Anne Boleyn was a side bitch.
But this man just kind of sounds like a piece of shit. Okay, piece of shit he was. After a brief imprisonment in the tower, Anne was beheaded by the French swordmen on the Tower Green, a relatively humane gesture arranged by Henry. Oh, how humane.
It could have been worse, I guess. There was medieval people.
Oh, they had some.
They got really creative.
They had some means of death. She was buried in an unmarked grave in the chapel of St. Peter's ad Vincula, the final resting place for many other tragic figures in the Tudor era. Anne Boleyn's spirit is among the most frequently reported and enduring hauntings at the tower. Her ghost has been sighted at the Tower Green, where her execution took place, and the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula, where her remains lie. That is a terrible place to haunt. I would not want to haunt the place where my swordsman chopped my head off.
Well, I mean, just she wasn't the last. So, she's in good company. There's a lot of company, actually, in that tower.
That doesn't sound comforting.
I mean, party every day, I guess.
I mean, if you're going to be dead. Witnesses describe her spectral figure as serene yet mournful, often wearing a Tudor-style gown. Yeah, that really sounds like a party. Serene yet mournful.
I think their gowns are wonderful.
I didn't mention anything about her gown except the style that she was wearing. One of the most chilling aspects of her haunting is the frequent claim that Anne appears carrying her severed head tucked under her arm.
Beautiful. It's like a headless horseman. But
I was going to say, like, nearly headless Nick if he had his head chopped off.
Maybe that was an inspiration.
She's like, I've seen Harry Potter.
You know, it's funny because, like, I remember what he looks like in the movies, and that's a Tudor era outfit.
And so maybe he was the inspiration for that. Oh, they just said, don't chop his head completely off. This is a children's movie.
That's why it's nearly.
This gruesome image is said to be a stark reminder of her tragic and unjust fate. Despite the macabre nature of these accounts, Anne's ghost is often seen as peaceful, perhaps resigned to the injustice she endured. Bullshit. It was bullshit what she went through.
There was more after that.
These women...
They have a play about it. It's called Six.
You know, it's very specific. There's six. It's just very specific. Like, King Henry VIII really treated his women terribly.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
It sucks. I mean, like, it's an intriguing history through it because, like, you know, he wasn't like that at first, but it just kind of became that way.
Time and power went to his head.
Yeah, he used to be like this really cool, like, strapping dude, defender of the faith, loving husband to Katerina, like, just all down to earth, really cool guy. And then he got injured in a jousting accident and just
messed with his mind.
He changed.
Scrambled his brain a little bit.
Yeah.
That has been known to happen. Over the centuries, there have been numerous reports of encounters with Anne's ghost. Tower Green guards and visitors claim to see a figure resembling Anne walking the green, particularly near the site of her execution. Her ghost is often seen gliding silently, her presence evoking a deep sense of sadness. This does not sound like the party you mentioned.
You know, that's just them. That's just what they show to the living, you know?
Behind closed doors, they're like, ooh, ooh. Ooh,
yeah,
ooh,
exactly. Playing like bumping like Pitbull and shit.
Pitbull's just the party of the afterlife.
Hell yeah.
The chapel of St. Peter's ad Vicula, Anne's spirit has been reported kneeling in prayer near her burial site. Witnesses describe the luminous figure dressed in the Tudor attire, her hands clasped in silent devotion. Anne's ghost is not confined to the tower, though. She has been reported being seen at the Hever Castle, her childhood home. There you go, sweetie.
Welcome.
And Blinkling Hall in Norfolk, where she is said to arrive each year on the anniversary of her execution, riding in a carriage drawn by headless horses. Wow, the poetry there.
Creepy. I wouldn't want to see that.
No, could you imagine? Woo, being the guard on that night. Anne's ghost is one of the most poignant hauntings, symbolizing not only the human cost of Henry VIII's regime, but also the enduring fascination with her story. Her spectral appearances have inspired countless legends. Visitors to the tower often speak of a sense of unease or sorrow near the places associated with Anne, as if the very stones of the tower bear witnesses to her suffering. Whether her spirit truly walks the grounds or her story simply haunts the imagination, Anne Boleyn remains one of the Tower of London's most enduring and tragic figures.
And popular. Super popular.
I'm just saying, it really does not sound like she's happy. She's riding in on headless horses. She's holding her severed head in her hands. There's like a feeling of mournfulness and sadness. Even the bricks of the castle.
It's a pretty traumatic
Even
event.
the bricks of the castle are mournful of her death.
I would be too if I was a brick. I'd be shedding my mortar.
Sad day?
Sad day.
I don't think Pitbull's playing.
All right. Well, here's my story. And another one I've been very fascinated with. This one is The Princes in the Tower.
Ooh.
One of the darkest and most enduring mysteries of English history is the tragic tale of the two young princes, Edward V and Richard, Duke of York, whose fates became intertwined with the Tower of London. Their disappearance in 1483 and the rumors of their murder have cast a shadow over the tower for centuries, inspired both historical inquiry and chilling ghost stories.
Ooh.
Also a Shakespearean tale.
Really?
Yep.
That's actually interesting.
Edward V, age 12, and his younger brother Richard, Duke of York, age 9, were sent to the Tower of London by their uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester, ostensibly for their protection while Edward awaited his coronation. However, before the young king could be crowned, his uncle declared Edward and Richard illegitimate.
What an ass!
He's known to be an ass.
Okay, all these people seem to be assholes.
Well, it's Richard III, the Shakespearean story, the hunchback evil king that they found buried in a parking lot like 10 years ago.
Wait, did they really?
Yeah, he was buried in a parking lot.
That's good. That's a little bit of poetry too. People have been driving over him.
Yeah.
Wait, what parking lot?
It's in England, somewhere in London, outside
is
London.
it like a supermarket parking lot or something?
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Oh my gosh. Serves him right.
And Richard ascended the throne as Richard III. After this, the boys were never seen again. Contemporary accounts suggest that the princes were likely murdered to secure Richard III's claim to the throne, though their precise fate remains unknown. Theories have implicated various figures, including Richard III himself, Henry VII, Richard's eventual successor, and even members of the prince's own household.
Wait. So, was it still taboo to just kill children back then? So they had to keep this. I mean,
Little kid, yeah.
Look, we have seen a lot of death in this podcast of things that I think should be taboo and are not.
Well, I mean,
considering
murder's outlawed today, but it still happens.
Well, I mean, I'll give you that much, but you know what I mean though? We've seen a lot of things that were not considered taboo back in the day, if you will. And I feel like the royal family usually manages to get away with just the most disgusting things while also being able to be like, I did this disgusting thing.
Yeah, well, it happens.
I guess children were still off limits back then, thank the Lord, except for the fact that they still did it. And nobody said anything.
Nope.
They just let it happen.
In 1674, during renovations of the tower, workers discovered 2 small skeletons buried beneath the staircase in the White Tower, believed by many to be the remains of the princes. These bones were interred in Westminster Abbey, though modern forensic analysis has yet to confirm their identities conclusively. The story of the prince's tragic fate has given rise to one of the tower's most famous hauntings. Visitors and guards have reported seeing the apparitions of 2 small boys dressed in period clothing, wandering the halls of the Bloody Tower, where the princes were allegedly held. The figures are often described as shadowy or ethereal, holding hands as they roam the darkened corridors.
That's horrible! They're just in it together.
There's a lot of paintings of them, and it's always tragic looking.
It's just even more tragic because it's children. Where is Anne Boleyn during all of this? What is she doing?
I don't think she wasn't born yet.
Just walking around with her severed head, and then these 2 kids appear.
Maybe she chills with them.
Honey, it kind of sounds like she's just depressed to her own death.
Her stepfather murked Richard, so it's fine.
That's I'd be like, yeah, stepdad.
Oh, I mean father-in-law, I should say.
Yeah, father-in-law.
One particularly chilling detail is the faint sound of children crying, which some have heard echoing through the tower late at night. These ghostly sobs are thought to be the manifestation of the prince's suffering and fear during their final days. The spectral figures are said to appear and vanish without warning, leaving behind an unsettling sense of sadness and loss. The haunting of the princes is unique in its emotional resonance, as the story represents innocence betrayed by ambition and power. Unlike many other ghostly tales tied to the tower, which involve adult figures of authority or intrigue, the tragedy of the princess has a particular poignancy due to the youth and vulnerability. Their apparitions serve as a reminder of the human cost of political machinations in one of England's most turbulent periods.
That's sad. I'm always going to say this. I can never joke around about these children ones because it's just sad. They're kids.
They're kids. It's terrible, but
should be playing with their toys. Said they were murdered by their uncle.
Power.
Rude.
Whether these spirits truly linger or their story simply haunts the imagination, the fate of Edward V and Richard, Duke of York, ensures that their legacy endures as one of the Tower of London's most compelling and sorrowful mysteries.
Man, that's just messed up.
Not the happiest one for sure. It's a ghost story.
Are any of them happy in this episode? No, it's the Tower of London. This is
the Tower of London, as you say.
This is a very, mournful episode.
But historically fascinating.
You do like your historical little tidbits.
That's why I'm here.
The White Lady. That's who we're going to read about next. The White Tower, the iconic central structure of the Tower of London, is not only a symbol of Norman military might, but also a hotspot for ghostly encounters. Among the many spirits said to haunt the tower, the White Lady stands out as one of the most enigmatic and unsettling figures. Her appearance has been reported for centuries, yet her identity and the story behind her remains a haunting mystery. The White Lady is most commonly associated with a specific window in the White Tower. Numerous visitors and passerbys have reported seeing a spectral figure clad in white standing at the window and waving as if trying to attract attention.
I'm good. I'm not going near that. I'd be like, oh, okay, peace.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
I'd be that person walking right up to it. I am the white person that dies in the movie.
No.
Yeah, that's me. I'm the white person that does something stupid and ends up dead because I picked up a chainsaw instead of just grabbing the keys to the car and going. I said, let's fight this thing.
For sure.
This eerie gesture has intrigued and unsettled onlookers, particularly because no one is ever found in that room when the phenomenon is investigated. I want to know how far this window is, though, from people hey, I see you. Hi, I'm going to attract your attention. And the time it takes people to notice that for those same people to get in there to investigate.
I mean, it's a big tower.
What if you're just running really fast? Although maybe the echo. The window is now one of the most talked about features of the White Tower, drawing the curious and the brave who might hope to catch a glimpse of her. See, that's me. We'll call me curious and brave.
Sounds about white.
Inside the White Tower, the presence of the White Lady is often accompanied by a strong, overpowering scent of cheap perfume. Wow! Cheap perfume, not just perfume, cheap.
It was a hard time back then.
It was like getting the cheap cologne in the bathroom.
It's kind of rude to just say just cheap perfume.
The distinct aroma, while seemingly benign, has an unsettling effect on those who encounter it, maybe because it's cheap. It's not Gucci.
No, not
Versace. Not Versace. Many visitors and staff have reported feeling an inexplicable sense of dread and unease when the scent manifests, as though they are being watched by an unseen presence. Some even describe the atmosphere as stifling, as if the air itself grows heavy with her presence. Well, I mean, if you know the scent of cheap perfume is coming around and probably is a ghost associated, but yeah, God, yeah.
Not again.
Not again. Not again. Look towards the window. The identity of the White Lady remains unknown, fueling speculation and intrigue. Some believe she could be a noble woman who met a tragic end within the tower's walls, while others suggest she might be connected to one of the many prisoners who perished there over the centuries. The lack of a defining historical figure tied to her appearance has led to theories ranging from her being a victim of an unrecorded violence to her representing the symbolic presence tied to the tower's dark history. The White Lady's spectral appearance and strange phenomenon associated with her have been reported for many generations. Her legend has grown alongside the tower's reputation as one of the most haunted sites in England. Paranormal investigators and enthusiasts often cite her as one of the most compelling examples of the tower's supernatural activity, particularly because her haunting seems less tied to specific events or individuals and more to the tower's oppressive history of power, imprisonment, and death. You know the White Lady, I have a theory about the White Lady.
What's the theory?
They say that negative energy attracts things, and when you have, energy in general attracts things, right? And when you have something as strong as the negative energy that is tied to the Tower of London through all of the deaths and murders and things like that happen, what's not to say that has manifested into something like the White Lady?
So she's just in a collection?
She's just a manifestation of all the dark and nasty things that have happened in the tower.
That's possible.
Theories.
Well, my next one is the ghost of Lady Jane Grey, another Henry VIII wife. Hooray!
Henry VIII needs to calm down a little bit.
He was a Hugh Hefner of his time. Lady Jane Grey, often remembered as the 9 Days Queen, is one of the most tragic figures in English history. A highly educated and devout Protestant, Jane was reluctantly thrust into the political maelstrom of Tudor succession by ambitious nobles.
This is still the same lady that we read about earlier, isn't she? Is this the Jane that came after Anne?
No, there's Jane Grey and Jane Seymour.
Okay, so there's two Janes. This man needs to keep his women alive for more than just 9 days.
This one is a little more tragic.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yep.
Let's hear about it.
After the death of Edward VI in 1553, Jane was proclaimed queen in an attempt to prevent the Catholic Mary Tudor from ascending the throne. That's Bloody Mary, by the way.
Oh, this is Bloody Mary, or not Jane.
Mary Tudor is Bloody Mary.
Yeah. Oh.
She wiped out an entire sect of Protestantism.
Now, I think there's a couple theories on Bloody Mary, though, so she's one of the theories of Bloody Mary.
Her nickname is Bloody Mary.
Oh, yeah, that would do it.
However, her reign lasted just 9 days before Mary's supporters prevailed and Jane was deposed, imprisoned, and eventually executed. Jane was only 16 or 17 years old when she was executed on February 12th, 1554.
There's the tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
How old was this man?
I think 50s, 60s.
Ew.
A young woman caught in a dangerous game of political intrigue and religious conflict. Despite her brief reign, her tragic death and piety made her a martyr in Protestant circles and a figure of fascination in British history. Jane spent her final days in the Tower of London, where she wrote heart-wrenching letters and prayers, resigned to her fate. She was executed on Tower Green, a site reserved for high-status prisoners, and buried in the nearby chapel of St. Peter ad Vinicula.
See, that's very sad. And I wouldn't be so thrown off by her age if it wasn't for the fact that I know this man was not, like, trying to date her or court her or marry her or whatever the hell he was trying to do because he loved her. This man was just like,
he
she's
was
young.
Disgusting, too, at the end of his days,
he's
too.
Young,
Disgusting.
He's gross.
He exploded in his coffin.
What?
Henry VIII was so heavy when he died that when they were lifting up his coffin, he broke through and exploded.
What? Oh, well, I guess, they didn't drain the gases back then, right? No, they didn't do any of that. Oh, good golly goodness. My God. That was not what I guess all these women got their revenge just in that one moment.
Yeah, imagine being 16 and having to mount that.
You shut the hell up right now. That's disgusting. This poor child was underage.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Like, this is why, like, that is disgusting. That you have a special place in hell. There is a special place in hell for you, for that one.
I mean, the king is probably there.
You sitting there telling me you're going to end up in hell and I'll be in heaven. No, you just bought yourself a one-way ticket to hell, sir.
History can be gross. Lady Jane's spirit is said to linger within the tower, particularly near Tower Green, where her execution took place. Witnesses have described seeing a pale, sorrowful young woman in Tudor-era clothing, wandering silently as if lost in thought.
I'd be just as sorrowful having to be that poor woman, and that was the life I was given? No, this child should have still been playing with dolls.
It's a sad story.
You gotta be all riled up now.
The figure is often reported as emanating a sense of deep sadness, perhaps reflecting Jane's tragic end and the immense pressure she endured during her short life.
Oh.
When two guards claimed to have seen a ghostly female figure near the green on the anniversary of Jane's execution, the figure reportedly moved with grace, but vanished as they approached. The chapel of St. Peter ad Vinicula, where Jane is interred alongside other notable Tower prisoners like Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard, is another hotspot for reported activity linked to her presence. Some accounts suggest that Jane's ghost appears not only on the anniversary of her death, but also during the moments of significant upheaval, as though her spirit remains tied to the turmoil that defined her life and death. Her presence has been described as serene, yet mournful, a reflection of her reputation as a reluctant pawn in a deadly political game. Lady Jane's haunting is often interpreted as a manifestation of her youth, innocence, and the injustice of her fate. Unlike many of the Tower's other ghostly figures who are associated with vengeance or unfinished business, Jane's presence is said to evoke pity and sorrow. Her story serves as a poignant reminder of the dangers of political ambition and the heavy toll it can take on those caught in its grip. The legend of Jane's ghostly appearance continues to captivate many visitors of the Tower of London, making her one of the most famous spirits. Her tale of innocence, sacrifice, and resilience against impossible odds ensures that her memory lives on, both in history books and the ethereal whispers of the Tower's haunted past. It's really tragic.
It's really tragic. It really is. It's really sad. And, screw that king.
Yeah, I think we have a whole consensus about that.
Yeah, everyone agrees. That guy sucks.
He did.
A Countess of Salisbury was one of the most prominent and tragic figures of the Tudor England. There's a lot of prominent and tragic figures.
It was a very bloody time.
Sounds like it.
The one before it wasn't very good either, but yeah.
If I remember, all the like
And the
King
one after
Edward
too wasn't very good.
If I remember from my school teachings, all the King Edwards, not the best.
No, even the last one, the last Edward was terrible.
Just all of them.
Hitler.
Yes, just all of them kind of sucked.
Oh yeah, I have a book right there. It's called The Traitor King. It's about the last Edward.
Okay. Her violent end has cemented her place in the Tower of London's haunted lore. Born in 1473 as a member of the powerful Plantagenet family, Margaret was the daughter of George, Duke of Clarence, and a niece of both Edward IV and Richard III. Her royal blood made her a potential threat to King Edward VIII's claim to the throne, a factor that ultimately led to her downfall. In 1541, Margaret, then 67 years old. Okay, at that point, just leave her be.
You can't.
Just leave the old woman be.
You can't. I mean, the Tudors they had a very flimsy claim to the throne.
I mean, King Henry VIII's name just keeps popping up in this episode. He is not making me, the
whole family was pretty brutal, except for, like, Elizabeth was, like, the least, but she was still brutal in her own ways.
Well, I mean, yeah, but, like...
She did kill her cousin.
That's not surprising at this point. And then 67 years old, was accused of treason, largely due to the actions of her son, Cardinal Reginald Pole, a staunch critic of Henry VIII's split from the Catholic Church. Reginald had openly opposed the king's authority, earning his family the king's wrath. Despite the lack of direct evidence implicating Margaret in her son's actions, she was arrested and imprisoned in the Tower of London's over 2 years and ultimately sentenced to death. So he just did it to piss off Reginald. That's what I'm getting.
He did a lot of confiscating, a lot of executions too.
Yeah, that sounds about right for him. Her execution on May 27th, 1541, was among the most gruesome in the Tower's history. According to the contemporary accounts, Margaret refused to kneel on the execution block, declaring her innocence and chastising her executioners. I love this woman. I like this woman. Yeah, that's right. You chastise the people trying to kill you.
I mean, I would talk shit.
Oh, yeah, like at that point, you're going to kill me. If you're going to kill me at that point, I'm going down, like, talking.
Yeah, I'm going to get in some, verbal barbs there.
Right? When the axe fell, she moved unexpectedly, and the inexperienced executor missed his mark. Oh, dear. Well, I mean, she wasn't even on the block, so... It reportedly took 10 or more blows to end her life. This woman was strong. Margaret's courage and dignity in the face of such a brutal death have made her a martyr in Catholic tradition and a compelling figure in English history. Her ghost is said to haunt the Tower Green, the site of her execution. Witnesses have reported seeing an apparition of an older woman dressed in Tudor-era clothing, reenacting the chaotic and bloody scene of her death. That's horrible. Some claim to hear screams echoing through the night or feel unexplained chills in the air when passing the spot where she died. The spectral reenactment is thought to reflect the violent trauma of her final moments, with her restless spirit unable to find peace. Unlike many of the Tower's executed prisoners, who were often granted relatively quick deaths, Margaret's ordeal was unusually barbaric, reflecting the brutality of the Tudors' politics. Her tragic fate serves as a symbol of the length to which Henry VIII would go to eliminate prospective threats to his rule, even if it meant the death of an elderly woman whose only crime was her lineage. This man's a jerk.
I mean, they were all brutal.
It's just...
his dad was known as the Winter King.
Oh... Just could you imagine having to relive your, horrific death over and over again like that, though?
I hope not.
Same. Over the years, Margaret's story has become a powerful narrative of resilience, injustice, and the lingering presence of historical trauma. The Tower of London, steeped in centuries of violence, is said to carry echoes of those who suffered in its walls. The Margaret Pole's ghostly legend continues to captivate visitors and historians alike. I like Margaret. She was sassy, it sounded like. She was
Had to be.
Right? It sounded like she was very full of life, and she didn't really go down without a fight.
She did her best.
She really did her best.
She did.
And also just, how does it take swipes of an axe?
You just want to say, I know you want to say, just say fuck Henry VIII.
Well, I mean, yes, absolutely, fuck Henry VIII, but how does it take 10 swings to take down a 67-year-old woman?
It happens. I mean, when Elizabeth executed her cousin, it took multiple blows.
How old was her cousin?
Around the same age. I mean,
these women
late
did not
40s?
play. Oh, that's 40s and 67 in the Tudor era is a big difference.
Mhm.
In corseted gowns.
I mean, again, it took a couple blows to get the head to separate from the neck. So there was a lot of screaming.
I just need to know if, like, it was just the head or if they got any other part of her body, because she said she wouldn't kneel unless they just forced her. They probably forced her.
Be like, no, I'm going to make you work for it.
Yeah, literally. You think I'm going to go down easy?
And those Plantagenets, man, there's a lot of historical accounts that suggest they had some mental illness, and that's why they were one of the most brutal families in history. Horrible people, insane. Even their portraits have like crazy eyes.
Oh, well, are they one of the really inbred families?
Probably, but they ruled for a long time in England.
I don't hate to say it because don't sleep with your family members, but there was probably a lot of mental illness due to inbreeding.
Yeah. All right. So with all that tragedy, I decided to end it on a little bit of an interesting one.
All right.
All right. This is the Bear of the Tower.
Oh.
Tower of London used to have a zoo, among many other things.
Oh, that's actually really tragic. We all know those animals in those zoos were not treated the best.
Nope. But this one is a different animal.
Okay, let's hear about it.
The Tower of London was once home to a royal menagerie that housed exotic animals gifted to the English monarchy from across the world. The menagerie dates back to at least the 13th century when King Henry III Plantagenet received a polar bear as a gift from the King of Norway in 1252. Over the centuries, lions, tigers, leopards, elephants, monkeys, and even camels were kept in the tower, adding an unusual and often dangerous element to the life within walls.
They're just like, the elephant's gonna trample you.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be the one to keep it caged.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not happening.
The ghost of one of these creatures, a spectral bear, is said to haunt the tower, creating one of its most unusual and chilling legends.
He's a ghost bear. That's great. Okay, I love this. Go on.
The story originates from an incident in 1816 when a sentry near the Jewel House claimed to see a large bear materialize out of the darkness and charge at him. Terrified, the guard reportedly lunged with his bayonet, only for the weapon to pass straight through the apparition. The ghostly bear vanished, leaving the guard in such a state of shock that he collapsed and allegedly died of fright shortly afterward. I don't know if I believe that.
I don't know if I believe that either, but it's just the thought of a bear being like, rawr.
It's like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Killing a guard just out of pure fear.
This tale has persisted as one of the tower's most peculiar hauntings, standing out amidst its roster of ghostly monarchs and prisoners.
You know, all I'm thinking about right now is that Disney movie Brave.
Yeah. Might have inspired it, who knows?
Oh, it might have. You're right. Might have. Who knows? Anyways.
Some paranormal enthusiasts believe that the spectral bear represents the spirits of the animals that lived and often suffered within the tower's wall.
What did I say? They suffered. They weren't treated well.
They just given.
They, different times, different knowledge.
It's a given.
It is.
While the royal menagerie was a symbol of power and prestige, it was also an early and rudimentary form of a zoo, with the animals often kept in unsuitable conditions. For instance, the polar bear was reportedly chained but allowed to swim in the Thames to catch fish, while lions and leopards were confined to cramped cages. Such conditions may have left an imprint on the tower, with the ghostly bear serving as a spectral reminder of the menagerie's darker history. The story of the ghostly bear also adds an eerie layer to the tower's long history of death and despair. Unlike human spirits said to haunt the tower as a result of political intrigue and violent deaths, this apparition links to the suffering of an animal once viewed as mere symbols of wealth and power. Makes me a little more sympathetic. The tower's menagerie was eventually moved to the newly established London Zoo in Regent's Park in the 19th century, but the ghostly bear remains as a lasting legend tied to the macabre chapter of the tower's past. This haunting continues to intrigue visitors and paranormal enthusiasts alike, marking it as a unique and haunting footnote in the tower's history of supernatural encounters.
That's a lot like the theory I posed with the woman in white in the White Tower, or the white ghost.
The White Lady.
The White Lady, there we go. I knew I was saying it wrong. The White Lady in the White Tower. It's the same theory. There's a lot of bad energy, and it manifests into a giant bear.
Bear.
Man fight bear. Bear win, ghost form, kills guard.
Happens.
Happens. All right, you guys, that's all we've got tonight. So, as always, stay spooky.
Stay spooky, folks. Thanks
Have
for
a
watching.
good night.